What if the most beautiful thing you have ever experienced was also the thing slowly undoing you? What if elation wasn't just beauty, but a state you couldn't leave? And what if the cost of transcendence was becoming less yourself? Sleep Token is shrouded in mystery. Why the mask? What is sleep? What do the metaphors in the lyrics really mean? If we want to understand Sleep Token, we have to start here, with 3 songs, with EP1. I'm not going to start at the beginning. I'm going to start in the middle, in suspension, because that's where EP1 really lives. Not at the first incision, not at the final collapse, but in the moment where everything feels beautiful and overwhelming, almost too intense to move through. The second track, Fields of Elation, sits at the emotional center of EP1. What does suspension feel like? It feels like being laid down in a field so soft it rivals the most comfortable bed you have ever known. Nobody else can pull me out. It feels safe, warm, weightless, yet you cannot rise. Sleep is the reason he is stuck there. Only she can pull him out. Fields of elation, quiet and loamy. Wessel is talking about fields and calls it loamy. Loam is soft, rich, fertile. It produces. So this isolation, this suspension isn't sterile. It isn't stagnant. Something is growing here, and it will bear fruit at a price. The cover art mirrors this state. Nothing feels decorative, nothing feels accidental. Needles, blooming flowers, branches that resemble veins, floating, isolated, suspended. The incision, the union, seems to have brought total darkness. The needles pierce the branches, and something in the image suggests the piercing causes the bloom, not the other way around. The branch isn't attached to a living tree. It shouldn't be alive. But the incision revives it. The insertion creates life. The wound produces beauty. That is elation. Beauty emerging precisely where something was breached. Now we move backward to the beginning. Thread the needle. Here we witness the first cycles of the bond, like thread being dragged through the needle's eye, over and over. Attachment cuts deep, like a needle through veins. It begins with temptation. The apple appears. No one could know what that choice would bring. The apple is grasped. The hand struggles to hold the heart, bending in impossible ways. Vessel clings, even as it costs him himself. And something else happens in the visual language. Same or similar scenes back and forth. Tenderness cut abruptly with rupture. Romance, then violence. Candles glowing softly, then shadows swallowing everything. The editing doesn't move forward in a straight line either. It rewinds, it fast forwards, as if we are watching a cycle. Peace, war, peace again. An oscillation, less a steady rhythm, more a roller coaster of desire and fracture. Damage followed by reconciliation, incision followed by bloom. Again and again. Not a single fall, but a pattern. and patterns are harder to escape than events. Night dominates the imagery. What begins as candlelight slowly resembles ritual, an offering, a sacrifice. Now, vessel bears the mask, because once the self is offered, the identity becomes secondary. If it means eternal torment, eternal darkness, eternal night, if it means living forever with needles piercing like barbed wire, so be it. That is entry. Now fast forward again. If you remember, Fields of Elation ends with I am losing my faith in our lives apart. I am losing my faith in our lives apart. A chant that tells us something important. The suspension was never permanent. The bloom was never stable. And then comes when the bough breaks. Like in the old lullaby, Rockabye baby, on the treetop, when the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. But here, no one is resting safely above. The child is not sleep, and it is not vessel. The child is the attachment, and vessel is the branch. And branches do not survive when the weight becomes devotion to overwhelming chaos. The beloved stops being human and becomes God. Not a God of heaven, not a God of scripture, but a God in the oldest psychological sense. The one who controls the weather inside you. The one who pulls every unseen string. The one whose silence feels like judgment. The one whose presence feels like disaster. Sometimes distant, sometimes destructive, but always sovereign. He breaks, not because he was weak, but because a mortal frame cannot bear the weight of a god. In this song, we observe what that ebb and flow feels like. Despite the almost deceptive tranquility of the melody, we are confronted with an intense argument. Here I could attempt to decode the lyrics. For example, you could stay alive, just tell me that you noticed, even in the dark, the way I left you breathing. One could interpret them as manipulation, justification disguised as care. But reducing poetry into literal translation dulls its universality. So instead, we stay with the feeling. Denial, blame, begging, insecurity, defiance, back and forth, unending. If you have ever been in a relationship that has collapsed, you already know what this feels like. Not one explosion, but 1,000 fragments. Emptiness, dissociation, numbness. The miracle-producing branch, capable of generating the most beautiful bloom, could not bear the pressure, and it broke. The same force that made wounds bloom now makes everything bleed. Elation collapses, suspension ends, and the coast becomes visible. Now we can see the structure of the arc. Thread the needle illustrates the formation of the bond. Fields of Elation explores the emotional state that sustains it. When the bough breaks, confronts its collapse and its aftermath. Entry, Elation, Erasure. Let me be clear, this is an interpretation. I have no authority to define sleep token. No access to intention or inside information. No desire to claim, this is what it means. I am guessing, trying to make sense of what I have witnessed across EP1 and across everything that followed. EP1 doesn't tell us what sleep is. A god, a lover, unrequited love, obsession, addiction. It doesn't explain what an offering is. a sacrifice, a gift, a memory, a song. You have to decide that for yourself. But so many people resonate with Sleep Token's work, sometimes without even knowing why. Because almost everyone has experienced something that started as elation and ended in erasure. And when it's over, what remains are memories, repeating like chants, and a changed you behind the mask.